The child behind the headlines. A 3-year-old child should be discovering the world through laughter, safety, and adults who make him feel protected. But for Chrisean Jr., childhood has unfolded beneath cameras, live streams, arguments, viral clips, and headlines he never asked to join. Behind every trending post is a little boy growing up, while millions of strangers debate his family and future. This story is bigger than celebrity gossip. It is bigger than Chrisean Rock and Blueface trading words online. At the center is a child who entered the world surrounded by questions before he could even open his eyes. Questions about stability, protection, and whether the chaos around his parents would become the atmosphere of his childhood. As the years passed, those questions did not disappear. Public videos led viewers to express concern about his development, his environment, and how much of his private life was being placed before an audience. But internet commentary is not a diagnosis, and no short clip can reveal the complete truth about a child's health. Only qualified professionals and those directly involved know the full picture. Still, when the same concerns keep returning, the right response is not mockery or online attacks. It is a serious question. Is this child receiving the consistent care, privacy, and support he deserves? The deeper you look, the harder it becomes to treat this as another chapter in hip-hop drama. The story did not begin when Chrisean Jr. appeared on camera. It began before he was born, during a pregnancy that became public content in real time, surrounded by controversy, pressure, and decisions millions watched unfold. And that is where we have to go next. Tell us where you are watching from. If you believe every child deserves peace before publicity. Comment un tweet. If you think the adults around him need to do more. Comment deux. Subscribe. Because the next chapter reveals how the warning signs began long before Chrisean Jr. entered the world. A pregnancy turned into public content, before Chrisean Jr. ever appeared on camera. The story around him was already being watched by millions. Chrisean Rock's pregnancy unfolded in public through live streams, interviews, reality television, and non-stop social media coverage. What should have been a private period centered on health, preparation, and stability became another chapter in a celebrity relationship that was already defined by conflict. Viewers watched arguments, émotionnelle confrontation, and controversial moments circulate online in real time. Clips were reposted, debated, slowed down, and turned into content across multiple platforms. The pregnancy itself became part of the spectacle, and the unborn child was pulled into a public narrative before he had any voice in it. That does not mean strangers on the internet knew every detail of what was happening away from the camera. Public footage is always incomplete, but the images that were shared created serious concern because they appeared to show a highly stressful environment surrounding a developing child. The question was no longer simply whether Chrisean Rock and Blueface would remain together. It became whether either of them could create the calm and consistency a baby would soon need. The most troubling part was how quickly concern became entertainment. Every argument generated views. Every shocking clip created another headline. The louder the situation became, the easier it was for the child at the center of it to disappear behind the personalities of the adults. Pregnancy should never be reduced to a storyline. Yet in this case, the internet watched it happen one post at a time, and while audiences argued over who was right or wrong, a deeper question kept building beneath the noise. Were the warning signs being taken seriously by the people closest to the situation? By the time Chrisean Jr. was born, the public was not meeting him with a blank slate. Millions had already seen months of chaos, and many believed the foundation of his childhood had been shaped before his first breath. The internet starts sounding the alarm. As the pregnancy continued, concerns spread far beyond ordinary celebrity gossip. Viewers were no longer reacting only to arguments between Chrisean Rock and Blueface. They were responding to public moments they believed raised questions about stress, substance exposure, physical conflict, and the overall environment surrounding the unborn child. The reaction was immediate. Comment sections filled with criticism, fear, and frustration. Some people were harsh, some were reckless, and others tried to raise legitimate concerns. The loudest question remained painfully simple: who was protecting the baby while the adults continued fighting in public? Still, an important line must be drawn. Online viewers cannot determine medical outcomes from clips. They cannot diagnose a child, prove causation, or know what care was being provided privately. Those conclusions belong to qualified professionals with access to complete information, but that does not erase the fact that the footage created alarm, especially because the concerning moments appeared repeatedly rather than as one isolated incident. What made the situation so difficult to ignore was the pattern. One clip can be misunderstood. One argument can be taken out of context. But when similar scenes continue across weeks and months, people begin to feel they are watching a warning unfold in real time. The public also began questioning the role of everyone around Chrisean Rock. Where were the relatives, managers, producers, friends, and professionals who could have encouraged a quieter and safer path? When a person's instability becomes profitable content, there is often little incentive for the surrounding machine to slow anything down. That is where this story becomes larger than one mother or one father. It becomes a story about a culture that rewards chaos, platforms that amplify it, and audiences that consume it until the consequences become too real to enjoy. The baby had not yet arrived, but concern was already attached to his name, and once he was born, viewers began watching every public appearance for an answer to the fear they had carried throughout the pregnancy. The first signs viewers could not ignore. After Chrisean Jr. was born, the focus slowly shifted from his parents' relationship to the child himself. He appeared in live streams, social media posts, interviews, and viral clips. At first, many viewers simply saw a baby surrounded by famous and controversial adults, but as more footage appeared over time, some began expressing concern about what they believed they were seeing. People commented on his movement, posture, eye contact, reactions to sound, and later his communication. Parents compared the clips with milestones they had seen in their own children. Others who claimed experience in early childhood education or therapy argued that a professional evaluation might be appropriate. Those observations spread quickly, but they also created a dangerous problem. A child's medical condition cannot be determined by strangers watching edited clips. Development is complex. Children progress at different rates, and the public never sees the full picture. A quiet moment can look like a lack of response. A short video can hide what happened before and after it. No responsible person should turn speculation into a diagnosis. Yet, dismissing every concern as hate would be equally irresponsible. The correct response was never to label the child. It was to ask whether he had access to qualified professionals who could evaluate him privately and support him if needed. The tragedy was that these conversations were happening in public at all. Instead of being protected from scrutiny, Chrisean Jr.'s development became another topic for debate. Every new clip invited another round of analysis from people who had never met him. That is what made the situation feel so heavy. The child was not choosing to become evidence in an internet argument. He was simply growing up while cameras followed him. By this point, the original fear had changed. During the pregnancy, people asked whether the baby would be okay. After his birth, the question became more urgent: if he needed additional support. Were the adults around him recognizing it early enough to make a difference? Concern is not a diagnosis. The internet often moves from observation to certainty far too quickly. A few seconds of footage become a theory becomes a label. Then that label gets repeated until people forget it was never confirmed. Chrisean Jr. became trapped inside that cycle before he was old enough to understand what strangers were saying about him. It is important to be clear: no viewer can responsibly diagnose a child from social media. No comment section can replace a pediatrician, developmental specialist, therapist, or medical team. Public clips do not reveal test results, private appointments, family routines, or the complete range of a child's behavior. At the same time, concern should not automatically be treated as cruelty. When people repeatedly notice the same possible delays across a long period, the humane response is not mockery and not denial. It is a call for private, professional evaluation and consistent support. Early childhood development does not follow one perfect schedule. Some children speak later, Some walk later. Some need extra help in one area and quickly catch up in another. Variation is normal. What matters is whether caregivers stay attentive, ask questions, and seek help when patterns persist. This distinction changes the entire conversation. The issue is not whether the internet can name a condition. It cannot. The issue is whether the child has a stable system of adults who are willing to notice, listen, and act without turning every step into public content. Unfortunately, the family drama made that difficult to assess. Each time, concern shifted toward the child. Another argument, accusation, or viral confrontation, pulled the spotlight back toward the adults. The noise protected no one. It only made the truth harder to see. Then another storyline took over, the public battle over paternity. Instead of preparing quietly for fatherhood, the identity of Chrisean Jr. as biological father became entertainment for millions. The child's name was attached to speculation before he could speak, and the dispute would shape how the public viewed his family from the beginning, the paternity drama that overshadowed a birth. The question of who fathered Chrisean Rock's child became one of the loudest parts of the story. Blueface stood at the center of the speculation, but his public statements, denials, accusation, and changing tone kept the controversy alive. Social media users studied interviews, timelines, photographs, and comments as though they were investigating a case. Every statement created a new theory. Every disagreement generated another round of headlines. The child's identity became tied to a public dispute that had nothing to do with anything he had done. Eventually, DNA testing reportedly confirmed Blueface as Chrisean Jr., his biological father. The result answered the scientific question, but it did not repair the damage created by months of public humiliation and uncertainty. A test could establish paternity. It could not create trust, maturity, or a stable home. That is the deeper point. Being a biological parent is not the same as being consistently present. Fatherhood is built through daily responsibility, patience, protection, and sacrifice. It means showing up when there are no cameras, no viral moments, and no applause. The same applies to motherhood. Public declarations of love matter far less than routines. Medical appointments, emotional safety, and the willingness to put a child's needs above personal conflict. Instead, the paternity drama pushed Chrisean Jr. further into the spotlight. His family story was debated as entertainment before he had the ability to understand a single word being said about him. The confirmation should have marked the beginning of cooperation. It could have been the moment both parents stepped away from public warfare and built a plan around their son, but the conflict did not disappear. Legal trouble, relationship instability, and repeated online battles continued to shape the environment around him. And as Blueface's legal situation grew more serious, another painful reality emerged. During some of the most important early years of his son's life, his ability to be physically present would become severely limited. A father missing during critical years. The first years of a child's life are built through repetition, a familiar voice in the morning, a trusted adult returning every night. Meals, play, comfort, boundaries, and routines that quietly teach a child the world can be safe. For Chrisean Jr., that consistency appeared difficult to find. Blueface's legal problems and incarceration limited his physical presence during critical stages of his son's early development. Whatever feelings existed between father and son, the practical reality remained. He could not show up every day in the way a young child needs. It would be easy to reduce that absence to another attack on Blueface. But the issue is larger than blame. A child does not understand court dates, sentencing, public foods, or the reasons an adult is gone. He only experiences presence or absence. At the same time, Chrisean Rock was dealing with intense public pressure, relationship conflict, and scrutiny that followed nearly everything she did. That does not erase her responsibility, but it helps explain why the environment looked unstable from the outside. Children need more than love expressed in emotional moments. They need predictable care. They need adults who can regulate themselves before trying to regulate a child. They need calm spaces where growth is not interrupted by conflict cameras, and constant change. If one parent is unavailable, the responsibility on the remaining caregivers becomes even greater. Family members, trusted professionals, and stable support systems can make a major difference, but only when the child's needs become more important than the adult's pride. The public could not see everything happening behind closed doors, and it would be unfair to claim otherwise. But what people did see was a family repeatedly pulled into chaos, with the child often appearing in the middle of it. That raised a painful question. When both parents are consumed by their own crises, who becomes the stable center of the child's life? The answer matters because the next issue was no longer only about physical presence, it was about privacy. Chrisean Jr. His childhood was increasingly being lived in front of millions, and the internet was becoming part of the environment raising him. When childhood becomes content, most children grow up with embarrassing photographs hidden in family albums. Chrisean Jr. has been growing up with moments from his earliest years distributed across an internet that never forgets. He appeared in live streams, social posts, interviews, and in clips that were copied far beyond the original accounts. Strangers discussed his appearance, movement, behavior, and family. Some spoke with compassion, others mocked, attacked, or made reckless claims. None of them had his consent. A child cannot understand what it means to have millions of people watching. He cannot calculate the future impact of a video, decide which moments should stay private, or protect himself from an audience. That responsibility belongs entirely to the adults. Fame does not remove a child's right to dignity. A parent may choose a public career, but the child did not choose to inherit permanent exposure. The line between sharing and exploiting becomes especially serious when vulnerable moments create engagement, headlines, or money. This is not only a Chrisean rock and Blueface problem, it is a growing problem across influencer culture. Family conflict becomes content. Medical concerns become content. A child's distress becomes content. The audience is told it is witnessing honesty, but honesty without boundaries can still cause harm. The saddest part is that public exposure can distract from private action. Posting a child is visible, attending appointments, following therapy plans, creating routines, and protecting sleep are quiet. Yet those quiet decisions are often the ones that matter most. No one outside the family knows every service Chrisean Jr. may or may not be receiving. That uncertainty should stop people from making absolute claims, but it should also inspire a clear principle. When a child appears vulnerable, less exposure and more professional support is the safer path. His childhood should not belong to comment sections. It should belong to him. And despite everything that has already happened, the story is not finished. At 3 years old, there is still time for stability, support, and a different direction. The next chapter is not about blame. It is about the developmental window that still matters. The window that still matters. The most important truth in this story is also the most hopeful. Early childhood is a period of extraordinary possibility. When a child needs additional support, timely evaluation and consistent intervention can help families understand what the child needs and how to provide it. That support might include speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, developmental assessment, or simply a more structured daily environment. The correct plan depends on the individual child and must come from qualified professionals, not internet speculation. What matters is consistency. One appointment cannot replace a routine. One emotional promise cannot replace months of follow-through. Progress is often built through small, repeated actions that never become viral. Practicing a sound, encouraging movement, reading the same book again, keeping a regular bedtime, and creating a calm space where a child feels secure. Chrisean Jr. is still very young. Whatever concerns people believe they have seen, his future should not be described as hopeless or predetermined. Children can grow in unexpected ways when they receive patience, attention, and appropriate care. The adults around him also have the ability to change. A chaotic beginning does not have to become a permanent identity. Parents can seek help. Families can create boundaries. Public figures can step away from conflict. Privacy can be restored. even after years of exposure, but change requires a different set of priorities. The next post cannot matter more than the next appointment. Winning an argument cannot matter more than creating peace. Proving loyalty online cannot matter more than being dependable in private. The public has a responsibility too. Concern should never become harassment. A child's situation should not be used as an excuse to insult, threaten, or dehumanize his parents. Accountability and compassion can exist at the same time. 3 years of controversy may have shaped the beginning of Chrisean Jr.'s story, but they do not have to control its ending. The most important chapter has not been written yet. It will be written through the decisions made after the cameras turn off. When there are no headlines to chase, and only one question remains: what gives this child the best chance to thrive? A future bigger than the drama. The story of Chrisean Jr. reveals something uncomfortable about modern celebrity culture. Chaos attracts attention faster than stability. Conflict creates headlines. Private pain becomes public entertainment. But the people who suffer the longest are often the ones who never chose to participate, from the public pregnancy to the paternity dispute. The legal problems, the developmental concerns raised by viewers, and the constant exposure online. Chrisean Jr. His earliest years have been surrounded by noise, yet none of that noise can answer the question that matters most. What kind of life will the adults around him build from this point forward? The strategic lesson is clear. Public figures cannot control every opinion, but they can control access. They can stop turning vulnerable moments into content. They can create one private medical team, one consistent routine, and one stable circle of caregivers. They can communicate through professionals instead of public attacks. Most importantly, they can make decisions based on the child's future rather than the internet's reaction. The human lesson is even deeper. Parents do not need to be perfect. They need to be accountable. They need to recognize when conflict is causing harm, accept support without shame, and choose peace, even when pride demands another fight. For viewers, compassion must remain stronger than curiosity. No child should become a punchline, a diagnosis, or a weapon in an argument against his parents. Concern should lead to hope, respectful accountability, and a demand for privacy, not cruelty. Chrisean Jr. is still young. His life is not a finished headline. With qualified care, loving consistency, firm boundaries, and adults willing to change, his future can become far brighter than his beginning. The real victory would not be one parent defeating the other online. It would be both parents ending the cycle of public conflict and giving their son the quiet foundation every child deserves. Where are you watching from? Comment 1 if you believe Chrisean Jr. His future can still change with the right support. Comment 2 if you believe the adults must make major changes immediately. Keep the conversation respectful. Share this video, hit the like button, and subscribe for more stories that look beyond the headlines and focus on what truly matters.